This is The Recap, a weekly reflection on the sermons of Fellowship Baptist Church in Mainville, Ohio, seeking to help you make Jesus essential in every aspect of your life. I'm your host, Ryan Land, and I'm here with the preacher of this week's sermon, Brent Wilson. How you doing, Brent?
Pretty good, Ryan.
It's a new question. It was a new question.
No, I picked up on it.
I didn't say welcome back.
Yeah.
Only real ones. Only the true fans know, the true recap heads.
That's right. The recap hits.
I was telling someone a story the other day about when Cohen was in the studio and helped us out with some tech stuff in the studio. And someone else in there, Savannah Sproul, shout out Savannah, was like, "Oh, I remember. I'm a true fan." It was so funny. So we see you out there, the true fans.
Yeah, we do.
Well, Brent, I have a icebreaker question, and I'm going to be honest, it has nothing to do with the sermon.
Oh, what's that to do with football?
No,
Oh.
I'm actually gonna omit football from the question.
Okay.
But it's September. It is about to get cold, allegedly. I mean, it's nice outside today. It's beautiful outside today. What is your favorite thing besides football about the fall?
Ooh.
I feel like fall has such an identity, like a cultural identity now.
Yeah, it does. I mean, football would have been my answer.
I know, but I know it would have. It would have been mine too.
Okay.
So
I will say then the weather.
okay, what? Get more specific. What about it?
Well, I feel like the perfect day is high 73, low 73, not a cloud in the sky.
That's too hot. 73 too hot.
That's really just from a movie.
Is that what she says?
The
perfect-
I think it's
oh.
from Pleasantville or
Oh, I thought it was in Miss Congeniality.
oh
They say, "What's your perfect date?" And she's like, "Whatever."
no, she says like April something because
yeah.
it's something in a light jacket.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of.
No, but yeah, somewhere around 68 to 70 degrees.
That's a 68 outside. Is like
with a slight breeze.
Yep.
Not cloudy. Got that good warmth in the sun.
Yep.
But I just really enjoy the fall weather. Take a lot of walks. Enjoy being outside in it. And I feel like the weather's different than spring. Spring, I don't know. There's you don't feel like there's the cool in the air.
It's not brisk.
Yeah. It's just like ooh, it's getting warm. I like spring.
Yeah.
But it's different. I don't know, something about the fall. It's like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah. Similarly to the weather, where I grew up, leaves had two colors: green and brown.
I thought you were gonna say like light brown and dark brown.
Yeah, but like seriously, like as soon as it got cold, leaves just turned brown and fell off trees. Because there was no humidity. There was no
gradual change or whatever.
Yeah, and there was no humidity in the air, so yeah, it's just like
The dry heat.
Yes, it was. And so I tell this story all the time, but it's like one time we were talking about you building your deck today. It's like one time I just moved here and we went out to lay some boards on your deck and it was only like 80. I was like, oh, it's only like 80 something degrees. And we go out there and we lay, I think like 2 boards. And I'm like, I am pouring sweat because the humidity. And I'm just like not used to it. I was just not used to it then. And so I love the leaves changing in the fall.
Oh yeah.
Because until I was like pretty much an adult, I mean, post college graduate in Louisville, I'd like never seen
like yellow leaves.
Like yellow leaves and orange leaves and
red.
Oh yeah, red. So it's like I love the tree. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but like the tree right outside the office, it turns like bright yellow.
Yeah.
Like there's a road that I love to drive like near our house that's just like totally encompassed by leaves, and so as they change, to the different colors, it's so
one
cool.
of the things that was so fascinating to me, and I'll tell you how I got to this thought, but it was a couple years ago. My family went on vacation to Gatlinburg, and we were talking about it, and you're like, "Yeah, I've never been." I was like, "You've never been to Gatlinburg?"
This is so funny.
Like everyone's been to Gatlinburg, but the trees are beautiful in the fall. In the mountains.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking about it.
The reason I'd never been is that I grew up 1,500 miles away from Gatlinburg. Have you ever been to Six Flags Arlington?
No.
What?
I never think I've been to Arlington.
Yeah, it's Dallas area.
Oh, okay.
It's where the Rangers play. It's where the Cowboys play.
I've been to Dallas once or twice.
Yeah. Maybe never Arlington. It's like one of those suburbs outside, but still connected to Dallas. And you're like, oh, we're in Arlington now, I guess.
Isn't the cemetery in D.C. called Arlington Cemetery?
It is. Not seminary.
Arlington
National Cemetery.
Maybe. Depends on which one you go
to. Yeah, Arlington National Cemetery. That is.
Any connection to the names?
I have no idea. I have no idea where that name comes from. But I'll look it up when we're done with the podcast. Well, let's talk about Amos. Famous Amos.
Famous Amos.
The cookies. Do you like Famous Amos cookies?
I'm not sure if I ever had one.
Whoa, they're so good. They come in like a pack, almost like a little Debbie, but they're like very soft.
Okay.
I love a Famous Amos cookie. Maybe it's one cookie in like a thing.
Kind of like a grandma's cookie like that?
Yes, yes. Gosh, I love a Famous Amos. Okay, anyway, why Amos? So we've talked about this the other two times.
Yeah.
You know, why Amos out of all the minor prophets?
Yeah, Amos.
When someone texted me, how old do you have to be? How old do you have to be to write a book? A prophetic book and not be considered a minor prophet. And I said, I guess younger than 13 in Hebrew culture. If you had your bar mitzvah, you're a major prophet.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So because of this passage that I preached on particularly, is just so convicting and challenging. I knew it was honestly the first book that I knew I wanted to do when I was planning the series. Mm-hmm. Just this, and really, it sticks out in my mind because of a John Foreman song. John Foreman is the lead singer of Switchfoot. He wrote a solo,
Dare You to Move,
little worship album. And he has a song called I can't remember what it's called, but the line in it is "I hate all your show," and so it's about this. And I just remember the first time hearing that song, and just like it was like really striking. And then kind of knowing of the passage and just like. So that, and then one of my thoughts could kind of connected just to worship in general is just looking at the state of kind of worship, quote unquote, if you will, in the church. It's changed a lot since I've been in the church since about 15. Worship wars, we were fighting about contemporaries and hymns and all that. And now we're just at such a different place where music has changed so much, and it's such an industry, and it's being pumped out, and there's just so much bad music. And I just hear all the time, both about our church and other churches, thoughts about, complaints about, opinions about songs, what instrumentation, what aesthetic. We came from this church and this or that. It's just like there's so much of that, and most of it seems super trivial and not like you can't really put your finger on this is the thing this person doesn't like. It's just kind of like a vibe. Yeah. And so I really just see a lot of that problematic, but also similar to the worship wars. And like, we would have said back in the day, oh, I can't worship to the traditional service. I got to go to the contemporary. Or if you're an older person, like I got to only worship in the traditional service. And so just see that same thing just kind of in a new package. I just think it's a real problem. And so this text gave me a way to address it.
Yeah. I do think it is the defining characteristic, I think, of I think maybe we're coming out of it a little bit. But I do think it is like it's the thing people look for in a church. Whereas that has not always been the case, right? It's like, maybe beforehand it was, the preacher or the ministries, or like, are they doing Awana? Are they doing, Team Kid? Are they doing whatever? Are they doing a VBS? Or that, where are they going to student camp? Whatever. Yeah. What Bible translation do they use? Yeah. But now I do think the identifying marker of like a church's, identity. Yeah. People look at the worship music. And so it is like inflated, I think, in our minds. We've inflated the importance of it in our relationship to it, right? Like we pick worship styles like we pick movies on Netflix, And so the other interesting thing, I'm curious if you've thought about this, because you talk about the 90s, like the worship wars, and what's interesting to me about that is you kind of have two kind of threads in the 90s and early 2000s. You have like contemporary worship music, but then you also have the development of CCM. And those distinctions don't really exist anymore. Like all of the CCM that's on the radio is worship music. Have you noticed that?
You're saying now?
Yeah, now.
Oh, yeah, because back then, you had a real clear distinction between
you
worship
had
music.
Michael W. Smith and Stephen Curtis Chapman and
Yeah, those are just
Toby
Christian
Mac.
songs.
Yeah, CCM.
Oh, that's what you mean by CCM. Okay.
Yeah, contemporary Christian music,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
gotcha.
There's pop songs that are Jesus.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that like undermining.
No,
these
are just Christian songs.
Yeah.
No one really thought you should play these in church.
Yeah.
And then you had very clear corporate worship songs.
Yeah.
Sonic Flood, Open Eyes My Heart.
Big Daddy Weave.
Yeah,
Heretics. Or the one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that is reflective of how we think about worship, in that even what we listen to on the radio or on Spotify when we listen to Christian music is worship music.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's emblematic of the inflated view we have of it compared to our people before us historically.
But there are a few songs that are not. Recently, one came out, the Brandon Lake song with.
We're definitely, I think, coming out of it.
What's the guy? What's
the Dusty Bibles or whatever?
No, that's Josiah Queen.
Oh, but see, like that's CCM.
Yeah,
Forrest Frank, CCM.
Yeah,
no one's playing that on Sunday morning worship. I hope.
Somebody is.
God,
somebody is. No, the Jelly Roll song, the Jelly Roll and Brandon Lake song.
But is Brandon Lake like a Christian music? Isn't he just like he's like a country guy. So I don't really know that much about country music.
Oh, I thought he was a Christian guy.
Well, he might be I'm not saying
no. I thought he was a Christian music guy.
I don't know.
See,
this is how much I don't know about CCM.
Yeah.
Like I don't listen to.
I think he is.
Okay.
But Jelly Roll's not. Jelly Roll's not. They just collabed on this song, and it's a good song. It's not bad, but it's not a worship song.
Yeah.
But some people are like, "Oh, we got to sing this in church," and I'm like, "This is not for the corporate singing. That's not the kind of song it is."
Which is funny. I think there's going to be more of that in the next couple of years because we're moving out of this worship music being the Elevation, Bethel. What's the other one? The Australian one, Hillsong. All of those, they were on the just been on the radio constantly. And
I guess that's what I was just going to ask you. But I guess that's what caused that is that you had these really big churches, writing their own worship songs for their churches, and then they put them into albums, and they got on the radio, and so naturally it all became worship music.
Yeah,
and that was kind of your way to make it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go to a church and do worship.
And that's why those churches blew up, right? It's not because of their preaching or their ministries, it's because their people recognize their music.
Yeah,
and so all that to say, kind of all that is all kind of precursor to what we're talking about, because this like worship is so ingrained, I think, in what we expect out of church or what we want out of church. We have, we've mishandled it, I think, in some ways.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what Amos is like kind of addressing in some ways. In other ways, it's more, I think, universal.
Yeah.
About worship. But I think it's good just to like where we're at generally.
Yeah.
In terms of our worship music, our worship services.
And you'll love this. And we've probably talked about this on the podcast before, but I love, there's this interview with Rich Mullins, and he's asked some question, and he kind of...
We hope you buy our records.
Yeah.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Probably. And he goes on this tirade about, he's like, you're asking me this question, like it's kind of like this Bible question, theological question. And he's like, we're just a bunch of guys that write music. And all these guys, he's like, all these artists are starting to answer your questions about this stuff because they know you want it. And they know like there's a market for it, not because they're trained or they've thought about it deeply or whatever. And so he's basically like, go listen to your pastor.
Yeah.
Don't listen to me.
That's what he said. There's one interview where he says, it's like I'm a songwriter. I hope you come to my shows. I hope you buy my records. He's like, but I hope you don't come to me for what is it? It's like spirit. It's like for spiritual
nourishment or guidance.
Something like that. Yeah. He's like, that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah, I'm here to play songs.
That's what your church is for.
Yeah.
And so I do think we've lost that sort of aspect. We've in like heightening this thing. We've like downgraded like the local church, I think, in our mind. One of the things I talked about, we've been going through the book of Acts, and one of the things I talked about was this last week was the very first thing you'd see the church do after Pentecost. Like the first 8 words, I think, after Pentecost is, and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. And it's like, that is where the church has always started. And it was like what the apostles have taught, what the apostles have written down. Mm-hmm. And now I think what we devote ourselves to is like our favorite worship song. And we think, oh, if I put in my worship music and go work out, that's pretty much like having a Bible study. Or if I like listen to my worship music in my car driving to work, that's like having a worship service. And so it's like, or doing a Bible study or whatever. And so it's like, as we've inflated what worship, the effect worship has, we've like the other things we've downgraded, I think has been costly. Mm-hmm. And so, man, this does give us a good excuse to just talk about because I think we talk about the worship thing quite a bit. And so this sermon does give us a good excuse to kind of talk about this. What do you think? I listened to last thing, but then we'll dive into the actual points of the sermon. But I just listened to a podcast, the Knowing Faith, new season of Knowing Faith, and they were talking about how therapeutic language has invaded the church. And I think one of the most clear ways is in our music.
Oh, yeah.
And so talk about that. You've talked about that. You've written a blog post about that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
How the...
I first realized it when I was on vacation and we went to another church just to visit because we were on vacation and check out. And I remember I literally stood there and listened. I'm a singer. I like to sing. I'm not like a good singer.
I stand next to you. I know.
But I like to sing.
And we know you're singing. You sang 6 different songs on Sunday morning.
That's true. Not all Christian, though.
No, that's true.
But I stood there.
Although You Are My Fire, My One Desire could be a worship song.
Yeah. But I remember there and just listening to the words and not singing because it was like, these songs are all about me, my struggles, and how God's going to fix them. And it was kind of motivational and, personal, like my addictions, my depression, my anxiety, all the buzzwords. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And so then I began to see it other places, see it in other songs other people were doing, see it in conversations. And when I wrote that blog post, it was about a particular song called, I think it's called Speak the Name of Jesus or something like that, Speak Jesus. And the song blew up. People love the song. It sounds good. It uses the buzzwords, strongholds and anxiety or depression or whatever. But the solution is to speak the name of Jesus over that thing, over your depression, and I guess it's going to go away. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it just doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. No, like practically it doesn't work. And so it's unhelpful, but it gives people this false sense of, bless you.
Thank you.
It gives people this false sense of hope, of what to do.
Well, and I think what people would push back on that is like, but Brent, they're hoping in the power of Jesus.
Yeah. But the problem is you hope in the power of Jesus that I can speak his name or whatever, and my anxiety goes away. And what happens when you?
That's
when you
real hope.
When you do that,
yeah,
and it doesn't go away.
People say like, oh, I'm putting my hope in Jesus. It's like, no, you're putting your hope in Jesus defeating something that you're going through.
Yeah.
Jesus conquering your anxiety or your depression or your loneliness or whatever. It's like, that's not actually the hope of the gospel.
Yeah.
And so it's the new prosperity gospel.
Yeah. Literally, when I was at that church service, listening to those songs, the sermon happens, and the guy says, quote, "When Christians walk into a room, leukemia disappears." And it's just like,
and you were like, that's just not true.
Not true. Like literally untrue.
Yeah.
You lied. Christians walk in those rooms all the time and it doesn't disappear. Mm-hmm. It can.
Yeah. No. But what happens when it does? I was talking to a student about this, but what happens when it doesn't?
Yeah. Your faith shouldn't be rattled.
Mm-hmm. And our theology cannot rise and fall with our surrounding circumstances.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I believe Jesus can heal. If I believe Jesus can heal leukemia, then I should believe Jesus can heal a headache, right?
Right.
But so when I'm at home and I have a headache and I say, Jesus, heal my headache, I speak the name of Jesus over and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah. Either God failed or your faith wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Both of them put you in spiritual crisis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like the theology of the whole thing's bad.
Yeah.
And but here's the real bad part, that music teaches us more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
We memorize music without even trying. Right? You could start singing a song that I haven't heard in 20 years and I'll know every word to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we memorize these things. We write them on our heart. Even Colossians 3 says we teach one another, teach and admonish one another by singing songs, hymns, and spiritual songs. And so if it is the case that songs are to teach us and not just be these like experiential, worship trance things, then we should sing things that are really true.
Yeah. So it forms us and shapes us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think the me-centered, and I'm not even saying like culture of like the last 20 years. I'm saying like Rene Descartes, like modernity, like I think therefore I am, right? That's when like the modernist turn takes us into more individual reality outside of a communal and a spiritual reality. And so, I mean, even going back that far, there's this individualism that started to creep into just how we process the world.
Yeah.
And so as that has just gotten dialed up, it has been reflected in our singing where what you're saying is, it's like what Jesus gets us is all these things that like medical help or therapy could get us, right? It's like Jesus is going to take away my, anxiety, my depression, my loneliness, right? Yeah. And Jesus becomes therapy. And the problem is something you-centered rather than sin being the problem, right? And so...
And then you get the me-centered thing. Like, there's a part of me that wants to say we should never sing worship songs with the personal pronoun, with I in them. I don't go that far because like the Psalms do that.
Oh yeah.
But I want to get close.
When it's more, when you're saying I
more than he
and
or
me,
you, or
rather than you or he. Yeah. I think maybe a little should, well, it's like a flat, like an antenna, or a red flag or something. It should go up in your head. Be like, what's this song really about?
Yeah.
What's it teaching me to put my hope in?
Well, if you think about, okay, what is worship? Mm-hmm. Well, it's not me singing about my experience and this
is good,
and God helping me or trusting
God to help me. Doesn't mean it's not shaped by that.
Yeah.
It just means it's not about that.
No, worship is literally giving God what he's worth, giving him what he's due, recognizing his glory, giving him praise. And so we should be singing about him and who he is and not in what he's done, ultimately in the cross and the resurrection. But his nature, his magnificence, his beauty, all those things.
Yeah. So a lot of that was about content of worship.
Yeah.
But let's go to the passage and go to your points, which is I think even a step further than it's like, hey, we should sing good content, right? But then even further than that, it's like also about our relationship, our posture but before God. And so your first, you kind of had 4 points, or you did have 4 points. They were all about defining what is true worship, right? And so your first point was true worship starts with brokenness before God, which interestingly, I think a lot of these more kind of therapeutic songs actually get, right? They understand the brokenness aspect.
That's true. Yeah.
So kind of dive into that. How's it shaped? How's it changed when we're broken before God? Why does that make it true worship?
It makes it true worship because it's the worship God's willing to hear, willing to listen to. True worship isn't this mystical thing that like you've got to get to the right place, but it's at the heart level. And so I just think that Jesus's parable about the tax collector and the Pharisee praying is so emblematic of it. When Jesus, like, you got two guys doing the same thing, one of them's right, one of them's wrong. And the Pharisee is like, think God thinks that I'm not like this guy down here. I'm not like this tax collector, but I tithe every day and I do this and I do that, and God thanks for making me great, basically. Jesus condemns that guy and says the guy who's on the floor can't even look up to heaven, beats his chest, and all he can say is, "Woe to me, a sinner." Like that's the guy whose prayers God hears and worship God accepts. And so in the text of Amos, it's interesting because you've got these people wanting the day of the Lord to come, wanting to smite and crush all those other people whom they were supposed to be the light to and to love their neighbors. And they don't care about that. They don't want God to come save the world. They want God to come crush the world. And they think they see themselves as the special, holy people. And look at us. Aren't we great? They want to be vindicated amongst the nations. They want the nations to be crushed and say, look, see, we were right.
Yeah.
And so they just come to it arrogantly.
And I think that's a real temptation for us because I think in the past there's been less of a temptation towards that because Christians have seemingly been the majority culture, right? I don't know if they actually were, but seemingly were, right? And so there was not this like vindictiveness, this anger at those people because they actually didn't have any power, they didn't have any sway, they didn't have any influence, right, on the day-to-day, your day-to-day life. But now I think when Christians are and Israel, right, would have been a minority amongst the nations. Now when Christians feel, the being the minority, right? And all of the cultural agendas we see like blasted everywhere and through politicians and cultural stuff, movies, TV, stuff like that. I think the temptation is greater for us to sort of feel this like anger, vitriol, desire to be right, to be proven right against the world.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that is like a particularly relevant point, and will only become more relevant as Christians, at least in the West, become more and more a minority.
Yeah.
If that happens, maybe it doesn't, but
if the trend continues.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so I just think that we need to be on. I even thought about when people say like a tragedy happens or something, people say, "Oh man, come Jesus, come soon, come Lord Jesus." I was like, man, should we be careful in saying that?
Yeah.
In this sort of romantic way.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I'm of two minds about it. On the one hand, I don't think when people say that they're thinking about the day of judgment. They're thinking about the day Jesus comes to make all things better.
Yeah.
But they are forgetting that before things get better, they get hard for some people, and judgment's coming. So I do think there is a sense in which we need to be careful about that,
and just in what we're saying it about, right? Like I think this is in the text. Their desire is aimed at particular people, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, we want these people to be crushed, to be judged on the day of the Lord. And I think generally when people are talking about it, they don't mean that.
Yeah.
But I think people can, say that and mean that.
Yeah.
It's like these people are doing this thing that is evil, that's egregious.
Yeah.
Man, I hope Jesus comes and smites them and sends them to hell or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't.
Yeah.
I like well, that's never mind. Not worth getting into. So brokenness before God. How do we become more like the tax collector in the parable and less like the Pharisee?
I think you got to steer
because by nature, anyone listening to a podcast about following Jesus, about a sermon on Sunday morning, probably is more tempted to be like the Pharisee than the tax collector. So how can we grow in our brokenness?
What are you looking at? Are you looking at really? Are you slowing down enough to look at yourself? Do you have the introspective periods where, like, if you're every day getting up and you're confessing sin to the Lord, and you got lists of sins to confess, then you're probably going to be in a healthy place because you know quite well how sinful you are. But if you get up every day and you're mostly just asking God for things, and or you're not praying, or you're just kind of looking out at other things, you never really take time to look at your own sin, then it's like you're going to be, well, I'm pretty good. You know, I ain't got much to confess.
No, that I think that's so helpful because I can think of so many times in my life where I've thought, I know I'm supposed to confess sin, but I just really can't think of much. You know?
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's like, man, sorry for being so prideful that I can't imagine that I can't confess any of my sin.
Yeah.
It's like like when they ask you your weakness at a job interview and you're like, man, I'm like
my weakness is I work too hard.
I work way too hard. You know, it's like saying that to God. It's like, man, hey, sorry I'm so prideful that I can't see all my sin. You know?
Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting thing, Ryan, is that how do you do it? Well, on the one hand, you got to look at your sin. On the other hand, like God's kind of got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No,
like,
for sure.
Like Isaiah, the prophet, doesn't see his own sin until God shows up. And when God shows up, it's like he's been in kind of this, like, the lights have been off in the room. And now when God shows up, the lights have been turned on. He's like, oh, I'm actually dirty. I can see it now.
Yeah.
And so when you get in the presence of God, honestly, I feel like this is a little bit of a litmus test. If you've experienced the presence of God and your reaction was like sunshine and rainbows, wasn't the presence of God. If you get in the presence of God and you're like, oh, crap.
Woe is me.
Woe is my man. I suck. Like if that's your reaction, like, yeah, that was the presence of God.
Yeah.
And you don't stay there, right? Hopefully you understand the gospel. And that's what Isaiah does. Like he gets the atonement part and he's like, God, you're awesome. But that should be a part of the process.
And we've talked about this before too, but it's just like, that is key in not just understanding your own brokenness, not just understanding worship, but just in understanding the gospel, right? The depravity, the depth of your sinfulness.
Yeah.
Just like growing in that understanding.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you feel worse. It makes Jesus so much better. It makes you recognize Jesus so much more clearly.
I'm just processing this for the first time.
Okay.
Live here on air.
Where else to process something live than on a podcast?
You know,
I hope it's right.
We talk about the brokenness. Ray Ortlund said this some years ago that we were listening to live podcast.
Then it's right.
I don't think it's wrong, but I wonder if there's a layer here. He says, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we'd go to door to door, do 4 spiritual laws, Romans Road, whatever, and you had to convince people first that they were sinners. The starting place was Genesis 3. Because nowadays you don't need to do that. You start in Genesis 2. You talk about purpose. Everybody knows they're broken. But I wonder if people don't know that they're broken in the sense that, like, man, just the whole world's just kind of messy and I'm messy and I got anxiety and whatever. I wonder if they know they're broken, but I wonder if that's correlated. Like, it's also true that, like, they get how bad their sin is. If there's almost a distinction between, like, brokenness and, like, rebellion.
No, for
that
sure.
That makes sense?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think I do think I get what you're saying, that it's like, yeah, but everything's messed up. It's like, of course I'm messed up. Everything's messed up.
Yeah. The whole world's broken. Look at it with wars and poverty
but I do also think there's a sense in, it's like, but I'm not as bad as some other people.
Yeah.
And so I think that's always been the case.
Sure.
I mean, that's the case of the Pharisee, right? And so, it's like, yeah, I know I'm messed up, but have you met this person? You know who that person voted for? So I think you're always going to fight that battle, but I do think, there can be in the same way, there can just be kind of like a milieu, like a we're all okay with this, kind of like, we're all pretty good. Like, that's fine. I think the same can be, the opposite can be true. It's like, yeah, we're all broken. So, like, so what?
Yeah. And we're just human.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, I think that is the turn you make. It's like, what if your badness is not just general badness, but what if you're actually someone's enemy?
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself anyone's enemy?
Uh-huh.
I think it's a good question to ask someone, and just see what they'd say.
Yeah.
And it's like, what if I told you we're God's enemy? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Maybe not the jump to make, but I think you get there. But yeah, we don't think, and I think that's a test of maturity, right? For the Christian, do you think of your sin as just like, oh, messed up, go get them next time, or as rebellion? Because I think that leads to your brokenness and your humility before God in worship. So then this is sort of like, so it starts internal, starts through your brokenness before God, but then true worship overflows in love for neighbors. So take us to that in the text. Why is that? Why is that, overflows like a product of, or a result of, I don't know what you want to say, but it comes from our worship.
Well, I struggled with which that's an adjective, right? The adjective? Overflow, the adjective?
Overflow is a verb?
Is it a verb? I don't know.
Overflowing?
I'm not good at grammar.
Yeah, that's a verb.
Whatever thing that is.
Yeah.
Struggled with which one to put there. Because really what I want to say is they go hand in hand. If you have one without the other,
you don't have one?
You don't have either. It's the first and second greatest commandment.
Yeah.
And they are simpatico.
Who is my neighbor? Simpatico.
Simpatico.
Yeah. Some Spanish, some Espanol on the podcast.
I'll be honest, I didn't know that was Spanish.
Simpatico. I think it's friendly. I think it means friendly.
Okay.
I can't remember.
They go together.
Yeah.
And so if you are just all into worshiping God but hate your neighbor, like you're not actually all into worshiping God, you're actually into worshiping yourself or something.
A distorted version of God that's not actually him.
Yeah. And if you're all into loving your neighbors but aren't into worshiping God, different problem.
How can you love your neighbor? Yeah.
You're not really.
You don't know what love is.
Yeah. And so you got to have both. And so when we see the Jews who, love their feasts and worship and all this stuff, but both want the day of the Lord to come to crush them, but also, and you see this throughout Amos, but in our text, it's like they're taxing the poor. And I thought it was interesting. It doesn't say that they're overtaxing them, just that they're taxing them. Thought that was interesting. But that they're keeping the poor down and they're not helping them. So those who are struggling and hurting and need help for whatever, it doesn't give reason, right? For whatever reason, that they're not caring for them. Shows that they're not caring for their neighbors. Yeah. And just goes to the point of the last point, that your worship should match your actions. That my people should be doing this. And if they're not doing this, I don't want you to sing to me.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like, we talk about every week, before we do like our greeting time, Nathan says, because we have peace with God, we can have peace with each other. And it's like, that's kind of what God is saying here. It's like, not even when you don't have peace, it's like when you're hating, despising, abusing people vertically, you're fundamentally misunderstanding what's happening vertically here. Yeah. And so that's going to distort or change your worship when you don't even understand the nature of the relationship between you and who you're worshiping. You talked about the three groups, the three people that throughout the Old Testament, there's a particular call to love, and it was widows.
Orphans.
Is it orphans? Because I was thinking about, I was like, is that just James?
Yeah.
Widows, orphans, and sojourners. Yeah, the people who go to sojourn. That's where I went.
Different translations use different words. And sometimes maybe in the same translation you get different words, but it could be foreigner, alien, sojourner. Yeah. Basically just someone from a faraway place.
But legal, right?
I don't think that was a thing back then.
What do you mean?
Everybody's just traveling everywhere.
So they weren't legal, you're saying?
I don't know.
And God was still saying that you should love them and care for them?
You should love them whether they're legal or illegal.
And care for them?
Yeah. It's interesting. The question becomes, how does this, without a doubt, Christian truth that Christians should care for sojourners, foreigners, or whatever, how does that come to bear today when the world looks very different than it did in the ancient world? Well, I think it certainly should maybe have some implications for how we think about national policy. But before that, it should just have greater implications for how me as an individual react.
Oh, certainly.
Right? Like I think about, I don't even remember exactly what year this was, who was president or whatever, but, families in cages at the border, and all these Christians were coming down, bringing diapers, food.
And they were like...
And they turned them away.
He can't do it.
He can't do it. But at least they were trying.
Yeah.
Right? Or I think about, in Springfield, right? And you kind of got that crisis not too long ago. It's like...
I won't do the lie. I almost said it.
What?
it's not worth bringing attention to.
But Christians were I was in a text thread like people like, hey, how do we help? What do we do? How do we help these people? And so just from an individual or church level, it's like, listen, our first response they shouldn't be here. Our first response should be, well, how do we serve them, care for them, love them, show them Jesus?
Yeah. And I definitely think the bigger problem, the national policy thing, a lot of people can come down to a lot of different places, and I think be faithful to the Bible, faithful to Jesus. What I don't think is faithful is like celebrating the suffering of other people, of people getting sent to countries like they've never been to, people getting taken out of their places of business by,
ICE or whatever.
Unidentified, they're fine with wearing masks now, people, and it's like, and whether or not that's good policy, you can have that discussion. But I think the thing that really breaks my heart is like the celebration of it. Like, oh, isn't this fun? Let's go take a family photo in front of the alligator Alcatraz sign. And I think that's where I really, with the challenge really comes in, is all this stuff has been so hyped up, right? And it's so tribal, right? It's like, well, our side, we want to fix the immigration. It's like, actually, everyone wants to fix the immigration process, right? But for then that to be like, and we're okay with shipping them off to countries they've never been to with no due process.
Right.
It's like, that's when it gets a little like, I don't know that's
when is
that caring? Is that because people is like, well, love isn't always giving people what they want. It's like, well, that's true, but is it loving to send someone to Uganda or to El Salvador to a place they've never been before? I definitely don't think so.
Well, it's interesting I think it's easy for us when it's so theoretical and we don't know these people, we just hear about it on the news or whatever. To think one way, but many people don't know that there's someone in our church who, is here legally, but is in jeopardy of getting sent home to this foreign country that is in war torn and just they don't want to be. And I think people in our church who know and love this person would obviously rally around them, like, no, you can't send them back. Like, they're great, they're whatever. And it's like, well, that is often the story for so many other people.
It's this, there was a case in Cincinnati of a kid who was 18, went to his, immigration, hearing, and gets detained and deported.
Yeah.
I'm like, the guy that showed up to the thing, he's doing the thing he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And to just see people like applaud that.
Yeah.
Christians, right? People, self-identifying Christians to applaud just the suffering of other people because of this political, because this is our political side that's doing it.
Right.
I think that's where we've really lost.
Yeah.
We've really lost, the plot.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have policy. We shouldn't have laws.
Yeah.
Of course we should, and we should enforce them and all those things. But just from us as individuals, we should care about the suffering of people.
Yeah.
And serve them and love them. And if they show up near us in our communities or whatever, we shouldn't be like, man, we got to get these people out of here. But we should be like, man, how do we get them Jesus? And, I remember, someone wrote an article. I don't remember what organization, but about just all of the immigration that was happening. And their whole point was the nations are coming to us. And so missions are on our front doors now. And, we don't have to just go to this other country and spend all this money. We can do it right here. And there was a whole bunch of people that got so upset about that. Like, well, they shouldn't be here in the first place. It's like, maybe not, but they are here. And so should we not be loving them and extending the gospel to them? And it's like, you can't get that.
Is there anything more loving to someone than sharing the gospel with them? Right. And it's like, but if they're from, a place where that's less likely to happen.
Yeah.
Is it more loving for them to stay or for us to make them go? I think it's a question worth considering as a Christian.
Yeah.
Because I know there's tons of stories from camp and from people I've talked to personally. That's like they have come from a different country and and someone has told them about the gospel, someone's invited them to church, they've repented, they believed, and then they've gone to their country, they've gone and talked to their parents, and there's been, gospel change in another country because of their immigration, right here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, whatever, we could talk about immigration policy, like, forever or whatever. But my point is just like, we really need to, because immigration is so talked about in our world, in our sphere, we need to be really careful with the way we think about it, the way we post about it, the way we feel about it, to be more in line with the Bible, to result in true when we rightly understand.
Oh yeah, because we get the other two right usually.
Yeah,
widows and orphans, we're good at caring for them. The other one just feels complicated to us.
Yeah, and I'm just glad God doesn't deport immigrants out of His kingdom.
We're all immigrants
because there'd be no one there except Him, and so that's part of the understanding the relationship.
Yeah. Then
results in right.
When it's so interesting,
because it's the same is true for being an orphan, right, and being a widow. You can't, in your sin, you can't care for yourself. You can't take care of yourself.
When in two of these things we identify as, we are orphans who have been adopted into the family of God, and we are aliens. We are foreigners who have been brought into a country or kingdom that we were not born in. And so it's like part of the reason that we care for them is because spiritually speaking, that's who we are. And so it should give us all the more.
And that goes back to the previous point. It's like when we understand our status as orphans who can't take care of themselves, as immigrants who have no right to the kingdom we're in, right? Then that leads you to, my neighbors, right, who I disagree with, who I...
And I think I would say to people who have heard us just say this and are irritated by that or frustrated by that or like we're wrong about that, my gentle challenge would be to say, are you a Christian first or a Republican or whatever political party?
Nationalist, right?
Does your Christianity inform your politics, or does your politics inform your Christianity? And it should be that our Christianity comes first. And the Bible is not going to put us in one clear category ever. It may lean one way in different times and different seasons, depending on what that party is and whatnot. But the Bible is going to make us all over the place, and we want to follow the Bible.
Yeah, and I'm just just thinking outside of the any party or whatever, just how you feel about something is revelatory about yourself and as a Christian about your relationship to God.
Yeah. So something could be, somebody gets deported or whatever happens. It might be the legal right thing to do, but that doesn't mean you necessarily should celebrate it. You can still be grieved by it.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think, we focused in on that, but I think about, people in that LGBTQ plus,
there is a plus,
whatever, lifestyle, right? How does that apply? How do we think about that applying to them, right? How do we think about, the unforgivable sins, right, of our culture? Do we think do we consider that our feelings towards them impacts our worship of God?
Yeah.
And so I think wrestling and thinking through those things is good, is helpful.
I have a friend who recently had a new deacon come on board at his church. And that deacon 30 years ago had cheated on his wife with another man, had repented, been restored. He's still married to that woman, hasn't fallen into that sin anymore, becomes a deacon. And now all these other deacons are like concerned about it. He shared his testimony with them. They're like, we can't have this guy be a deacon. And my buddy's like, why not? Like, well, he did this. It's like, well, had he had an affair with another woman, would it have been okay? Well, yeah.
And they're like, well, it's a little different.
And it's just like he's repented for 30 years. But it's just like so weird.
Yeah. There's an ick.
Yeah.
That's what the kids will call an ick.
Yeah. And It's just like,
Yeah, it's the unforgivable sin of our current
I'm saying this
cultural
person
climate.
is stained forever. I'm so glad that people don't think my sins are like that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Because actually in the ancient church, this was actually totally different, right? Because like their idea of sexuality was or the cultural idea of sexuality was totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And so sexual sins were actually not that big a deal. You know what, like the biggest conversation about, should we let these people back in the church was if they recanted of their faith, like in the face of martyrdom.
Mm.
It's like, can we even let those people back in the church?
Yeah.
If they have, but I've had conversations with people here that's like, no, you should just lie to save your life. That would be the more beneficial thing.
Yeah.
When the ancient church, they were like, if you deny your faith in the face of persecution, you cannot come back to the church.
Yeah.
It's like, so the unforgivable sins of the culture, they change.
They change, yeah. Well, it's because everyone coming out of the culture would have been into temple prostitution and orgies and whatever.
It was just totally different.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if that was the prerequisite, it's like, well, we can't have anyone that had done temple prostitution, but like, there is no one here.
Especially if you're in Corinth.
There is no one here that can meet your standard that you have made up. And so, yeah, I think when we hold on to those things as like, we got our sin tier list, and it's like no one who's committed this sin can do this thing, right? And it's extra biblical. Then I think we're in breach of this, this command. It affects us in our relationship.
Yeah,
to who
and
God
I think
is.
what people struggle with is to treat someone walking in that sin or any one of these kind of cultural unforgivable sins, to treat them with kindness is in their mind to accept it and to think it's to look at it as good, affirm it. Yeah, that's the right word. And that's not what we're saying. We're not saying affirm it, celebrate it. No. Like, call it sin. It is sin. Yeah. Don't that doesn't mean you can't be kind.
Yeah, it's like this whole
and hospitable.
I remember there was a whole conversation about this around the word tolerate. Like, should we tolerate people in their sin? Well, it's like, well, it depends on what you mean.
Yeah.
By tolerate. Because I think some people are like, no, we should not tolerate it. And what they mean is like, we should call it out at every turn. Like there should not be a moment that goes by when you're with someone that's in unrepentant sin that they do not know that you're not in favor.
Yeah.
And then some people think it's like, tolerate is maybe just like, hey, we just don't talk about it, which is also unhelpful.
Yeah.
Right. But I think we're both Keller fans. There's a third way that says, we speak the truth, but we speak it in love, and we can always continue relationship with someone despite their sin.
Truett Cathy modeled this so perfectly, I think. But before he died, Chick-fil-A was going through the big scandal. It was traditional marriage, and all the gay people were mad at Chick-fil-A.
All of them,
every one of them. But it came out, and this had been happening, and no one knew about it. But that one of his good buddies was like this leader of the LGBTQ movement. And he was taking them to baseball games. They were going out to dinner. They were doing all this stuff. And the guy comes out after Truett's death, or maybe in the height of this thing, and was like, listen, Truett's a good friend of mine. And I've never doubted where he stands on this issue. He thinks my lifestyle is sinful, but he's always treated me with kindness and respect. It's like, he knows where he stands.
Yeah.
It's always clear, and yet he's kind to me.
Gosh, there's also, I think it was Jerry Falwell that was friends with this kind of like shock jock, like radio host. And they ended up like, he was like, not a Christian, outspoken atheist. And they were like very good friends.
That's surprising.
Yeah. And he said the same. He's like, I knew me and Jerry disagreed on everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And we'd argue about it, but I never left a conversation thinking that Jerry didn't like me.
Yeah.
I think that's stories like that are helpful in thinking about how we love our neighbors and not compromise, biblical truth.
And it's also the only way that those people are ever going to listen and come in.
Yeah. I just read something today, and it was Tim Keller again, talking about how things are true in multiple ways. Like we understand things to be true in multiple ways. It's intellectually, emotionally, then also socially. So it's like there are things that we can claim, but we actually only understand them to be true when we experience them socially, right? And so I think that's one of those things. And I think that is the challenge of the text is you're supposed to go out and make the truth of Yahweh true to the nation. And when you fail to do that, you fail to understand the truth of who I am. I being God. Yeah. Okay, we got to move on. We're running out of time.
We got to go.
We're running out of time. So true worship is God-centered, not self-centered. And I thought this was helpful. You asked the question, is your worship for you or is it for God? Expand on that a little bit. We've danced around it some.
Yeah, like, are you in the worship service and unable to worship because of the musicians mess up, because it's not the songs you like, it's not the style you like, the American flag's not up there. Something's
was that on the fly telling the eagle story?
I added it that morning.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I could just.
That's a classic story.
It's so good. I can't not do it. Is there something happening that you're like, gosh, I can't do it because of this thing? It's like, well, you've made it about you and your preferences and what you enjoy. It's like, you might enjoy worship, but the point of it isn't your enjoyment. The point of it is God.
That is so true. And I wish I had a similar, you told your story about singing the hymn and God like smacking you. I had a similar story. I had a similar situation. I was at youth camp and this person behind me.
As a youth or as
a youth.
Okay.
This person behind me could not sing a lick. I mean, terrible.
Yeah.
Awful. Screeching.
Okay.
And it was so distracting to me. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, does this person not know? Like how distracting.
Someone needs to love them enough to tell them.
Does this person not know how distracting they're being? And it's not like they were on the stage or anything. Like they're just standing behind me. And it's like I got thumped in the back of the head by this person, but it was actually like the Spirit being like, why can't you sing with all the confidence they can?
Yeah.
I was like, why do you care about the notes so much?
Yeah.
And it was like, ooh. I was like, I felt it in my gut, like in my most inner parts. I was like, oh, I was so convicted.
Yeah.
And so one like little nuance, I had someone ask me about this, and so I just wanted to be clear. You don't mean like just like being distracted, right? Like, sometimes you're singing and the wrong words come up.
Yeah.
And then for a moment you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm singing.
No, of course. We get distracted by all kinds of things. That's not wrong.
Yeah.
It is wrong if the distraction takes you out of the worship trance.
I was going to come to you used that phrase. I think it's so helpful.
And you think, oh, now I can't worship because I was in it. Now I'm out of it. And it's like, no, that's just a wrong category.
Yes.
There's nothing to enter into. Like, you're not like, oh, I'm in the Spirit. I'm in the worship. Oh, let's go. Oh, the slide was wrong.
That's why we're not charismatic.
Yeah. And so it's like, oh, yeah, that was kind of, that distracted me from the lyrics or from singing for a moment. The baby cried back there.
Yeah.
But now I'm back to singing.
The singer was sharp. The singer was flat, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but I think
and distraction may even be the wrong word. It's like, I noticed it.
Yeah. But for what you're saying is that when that happens, you think, well,
it's a wash now. I can't do it in anything.
This song, all I can think about now is like, that's your problem, right? Or like I think the biggest one is I just don't like this song.
Yeah. Or just people really do think that, oh, the worship was so good today, meaning it was more emotional and I was more feeling it and I got goosebumps. And
which is another great Rich Mullins story.
Oh yeah.
Of the woman coming up to him and being like, man,
I've never worshiped like that.
Yeah.
He's like, that wasn't worship.
Yeah.
So he says that wasn't the Spirit. That was emotion.
Yeah.
That worship is when you go help the next door neighbor mow the grass.
He's so good. He's so good. Oh man. So yeah, I think, and outside of singing, you talked about taking communion.
Yeah.
But just across the board, did in the worship service, are you worried about your preferences? Oh, the pastor's a little bit light. He's kind of yelly. Or it's like, oh, he like quoted this verse that
he talked about Narnia again.
Or like, was it last week? Like people like groaned because you brought up Lord of the Rings or whatever.
Well, I said, I'm trying. And they just laughed.
That was so funny. Yeah. And so it's like anything in the worship service that you're like, well, I just didn't like this. It's like, well, guess what?
Yeah.
It wasn't for you.
When this isn't a thing anymore as much, especially in like our context, But like it was a thing in churches where, the offering had, we always passed the plate after the second song.
Yeah.
And it's like churches would move it. We're going to do it at the end or the beginning or whatever. And people are like, just throw this big hissy fit like it's in the Bible where you pass the plate.
It's like our friend who took the tarp or whatever off the Lord's Supper.
Oh no.
And he like balled it up and threw it down on the stage.
Yeah, that was bad.
Which he probably should have done that, but he was right.
Yeah. Yeah, like so the point there is, in the Lord's Supper, that someone had made this like dually or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know they had made it.
Yeah, someone in the church had made this like ornate like thing to put over the Lord's table, and the Lord's Supper sat on it, and he balled it up and said this was idolatry and threw it on the ground.
Well, because he had removed it, right?
Yeah.
And they were mad about it.
Well, he removed it and balled it up, and that was all in one time, and they got mad about the whole thing.
Oh, well, yeah, well, sure. But I thought they had previously been upset about it and been like, we can't take the Lord's Supper without the tarp or whatever over it. And then for him to be like, you don't need the tarp.
Yeah. That would have been okay.
Yeah. Maybe even then balling it up and throwing it down on the stage would have maybe been a little rough. But, but anyway, it's like your preference taking you away from the worship is to put you in the center. You're just worshiping yourself at that point.
Yeah.
It's about building yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing, true worship means our praise matches our practice.
Mm-hmm.
Unpack that. I feel like we need some dissection on that. What do you mean?
Yeah. Like, we sing. I read this quote I shared with you this morning.
It was so good.
I wish I had read this before the sermon. But he says, Christians don't tell lies, they sing them. And
I just got like Mufasa chills.
And just the idea that, listen, we sing greater than we believe, and we sing greater than we do. And we've got to work to fix that, right? When we sing, I surrender all, we ain't surrendered hardly anything. like it's disingenuous.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, God doesn't just want us to sing, I surrender all. He wants us to actually do it. It's like in the text this week, we're talking about Saul this week in the story of David. There's the great line that God cares more about obedience than sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, I don't care if you sacrifice all these lambs to me. I want you to do what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And so God's like, listen, you didn't care for the poor and you sang to me. Stop singing and care for the poor. Like, do the things I've told you to do. And you can't out-sing your disobedience. You can't come make up for it. Go be obedient. Go do the thing.
Yeah.
And so what makes something worship is when what we're singing is matching what we're actually doing. That's what's pleasing to God.
Yeah. You referenced the Good Samaritan. And this makes me think of, the priest and the Levite walking by the beat up dude. And how they actually have like good religious reasons to not go help him.
Yeah.
Because he might be dead.
Might be bleeding.
They can't they can't touch him if he's dead, or if they can't touch his blood, they become ritually unclean. And so it's like, but Jesus intentionally makes them the villains is a strong word, but not the
people in the wrong.
Of the story, because not only is this pointed like the Samaritan, the one you least expected is good, but it's like, but these people didn't help on the basis of religious practice, and so they cared about right worship, whatever, more than they cared about right practice.
Yeah.
And so he's saying, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's the Mullins quote, to truly worship is to go help the guy that's beat up on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And so I think that's helpful. I'm glad you shared the lying and singing quote that I was going to ask you to close with that. You to wrap it up, you made reference to how the work of Jesus kind of solves this for us. Explain that a little bit, because this is like, it's like, Ryan, Brent, I'm never going to get all this right. How can I ever worship?
Yeah. And so thankfully, you go back to the beginning of the sermon and this, they're one in the day of the Lord. Who can stand in the day of the Lord? No one, unless you stand in Christ. And so all of these faults and all of our bad worship is covered by the blood of Jesus. And so, I think it's Hebrews that talks about only things done in faith does God accept. Right? So it's only the things done through Christ that does God accept. Only works done in Christ. And so it's like our worship as it's been purified through the blood of Jesus, then God can accept it.
Yeah.
And so our worship is tainted. And now in our sanctification, we got to keep working to make it better and better, consistent, and all those things.
Yeah.
But no matter how good it gets, it still always will get purified through the blood of Jesus to be accepted by God.
Yeah. I think that's huge. I think that's great news. And it's like, I do think about, I don't know if this is like common vernacular, but it's like Jesus, the true worship leader, right? That's actually his worship that we're just joining into. He's both the object and the facilitator.
Yeah.
Of true worship. And so I thought that was just a great place to end, because this does, and as a lot of the Old Testament is supposed to, it's like, we can never do this.
Yeah.
We can never accomplish this. And to which God just smiles and says, that's the point. You know, I'm going to send you the one that can.
Yeah.
And join you to him. All right. So you already said it, next week.
Story of David, Life of David.
Life of David begins. We are done with the minor prophets. It's been fun. It's been good.
Yeah.
Fun to talk about. Lots to talk about. Things I feel like we generally, like prostitution.
Yeah,
it's come up 2 weeks in a row now. Yeah. So, well, thanks for joining us for the recap. We hope this conversation has encouraged you to keep striving to make Jesus essential in every aspect of your life. If you aren't part of our church family, we'd love to meet you on a Sunday morning. We gather for worship at 10:30 a.m. For more information, you can always go to myfellowship.church. Thanks for listening. Be blessed.